Employment laws and regulations are constantly evolving, hence the need for companies and organizations to ensure that they stay up to date with what is currently happening in the industry. My name is Mary Amondo. I'm in charge of training and career advisory services here at Corporate Staffing. And as usual, I am joined by our CEO, Mr. Paminas, who will be helping us to discuss some of the ways into which we can ensure compliance with the laws and regulations. Nice to have you on board.
Thank you, Mary.
Great.
Yeah.
So today we are discussing about the laws and regulations and compliance in general.
Yes.
Yes. What are some of the key legal requirements that SMEs, to be specific, need to be aware of when it comes to employment laws and regulations?
Yes, Mary. So before I share with you, I would say the critical areas. I would say the relationship between an employer and an employee is governed by the employment law. So currently we are talking about Employment Cap 2007. Although there are also there is a bill in Parliament that is looking to amend some sections of the law. So as of today, as of this video shoot, we are referring to that law. So I would say for an SME, most of, and here I'll reference on some of the common mistakes I see SMEs making when it comes to the employment law. And I would say they'd have to do with the onboarding. That is when they're bringing the staff on board and when they're exiting the staff. Yeah. So when an SME is employing a staff, number one to consider, do they have employment contract? Because the law states that whenever you have someone for more than 2 months, you're supposed to give them a written contract. Yes, so that's number one. Number two is the terms of engagement. For example, are you giving them leave days? Are you honoring things like sick leave? If it's paternity, maternity, if it's a lady, if she goes for maternity, is she getting her leave days? What are the other critical ones? The other one, it has to do with performance. So during the period, are they being constantly appraised? Are they being given feedback? That's very important. Yeah. And now let's look at the exit. And the main one when it comes to exit is the reason. Why are you letting this person go? So if it's performance, there should be documentation as to how has this individual performed and what have you done as an employer. Yeah. If it's something to do with the discipline, gross misconduct, someone will also ask, is it written? You know, have you followed the law? Otherwise, the court might term the termination as unfair. Yeah. So I would say those are the critical things. In terms of onboarding, you look at the contract. Are you adhering to the terms of engagement? Then when it comes to if the day-to-day, what about the performance? Is this someone being appraised? If they're not meeting the company expectation, are they being put under a performance improvement plan? And now the exit, if it's not the staff resigning, if you're firing them, have you given them a proper reason? If it's redundancy, are you following the employment law, where the law outlines how you're supposed to carry out the redundancy process? Yeah, so like I said, make sure that all the aspects that are governed by the employment law, you as an employer, whether you're an SME or a big corporation, you are following the read-down procedures. Yeah.
I know non-compliance with the law can really lead to severe consequences, especially for the employer.
Yes.
Yeah. So how can SMEs ensure that compliance? How can they ensure compliance and even mitigate risks in areas such as maybe hiring and employment contracts?
Yeah. For me, Mary, I would say it's in your best interest, number one, to comply. Even before we look at the law. Why? Because it ensures that there's a harmonious relationship between the employer and the employee. For example, Mary, I've hired you. I've not given you an employment contract. So you don't know the salary to expect, you don't know the job description, you don't know the key performance indicators. Can you imagine how chaotic it will be?
Yeah.
So I would say even before we look at the law, even before we bring a third party, because the law is sort of a third party. For me, I would say in terms of having proper structures, in terms of the smooth running of the business, I would ensure that I put these things in place. Yeah. But what about if you're an SME and you know they sound like Greek to you? Number one, I would say ignorance is not defense. So you cannot come and say you didn't know. So like you said, is really becoming a risky area, and so you need to comply from the word go. So this is where corporate staffing comes in. So we've helped many small businesses. So we come in either on a project basis, we help you set up your HR function. Make sure the contracts are there, the job description, you have a HR policy, performance management is being done well. If you need to exit a staff, you're following the due process. Yeah. So we can either do this as a one-off project, and then maybe we hire for you a HR assistant, or we can do it on an ongoing basis where we come in now as your HR expert and we support you on a monthly basis. So either of those two can work depending on the needs of the organization.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing.
Karibu sana.
As Paminas has mentioned, the truth is that the laws and regulations and even compliance is something that is currently evolving so much. So it is important to ensure that you have proper structures, and corporate staffing services comes in handy to ensure or to help you have proper HR structures and functions within your organization. Feel free to click on the link below to reach out to us so that we are able to walk with you the journey. We look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.